Have you ever been robbed or scammed before? It's a pretty unpleasant experience, to say the least. I remember when I was in the Holy Land, I was trying to barter with a shopkeeper for a cute little stuffed camel with Jerusalem written on the side of it because I wanted to give it to my niece for her birthday. So I made a few offers to the guy, and pretty soon it became very apparent that he had nothing better to do than just give me a hard time. So rather than waste time bartering with this guy, I figured I could, I don't know, spend more time praying at the very site where Jesus rose from the dead instead of wasting my time here. So I did exactly what he was hoping for and just gave in. And the guy knew that time was on his side, so I don't blame him. Fair enough. But what made things really worse, and how I really knew that I had just been completely ripped off over a little stuffed animal, was that after the end of our transaction, he just turned to me and gave me a nice little pat on the face and said, "Thank you, my friend." Wow. I was this close to getting kicked out of seminary that day, if you know what I mean. It wasn't enough for him to just scam me out of this stupid stuffed animal. He had to go after my dignity and my pride as well. And that's because people can steal much more important things from us than just our money or our time. They can rob us of our peace, of our self-worth, of our willingness to trust other people, even over something just as silly as a stuffed animal. Satan is a thief. He comes to rob, to kill, and to destroy. So why is it that our Jesus would compare himself and his coming to that of a thief? Thieves leave us feeling broken, helpless, and enraged and calloused. And I don't think that's what Jesus was going after. But there's something very important in this comparison nonetheless. Notice how many times the image of a house came up in our readings today. We repeated it over and over again for the psalm, for instance. And this is intentional. We are masters of our own houses, of our own lives, so to speak. And so God has given us that dignity. But here's the difference between Jesus and the devil, insofar as the reading that we're talking about today. If we ask Jesus to leave our house, he'll do so. Our Lord is a gentleman, and he won't overstay his welcome. We kick him out when we commit serious mortal sin, and we also invite him back when we go to confession. Satan, on the other hand, obviously is not a gentleman. He broke into our house long ago. He takes up residence wherever he can find it, and he's happy to keep using all of our stuff and scavenging the place for free food and free booze and leaving garbage and odd stains that kind of smell everywhere. So long as we just don't take him all that seriously and kick him out forcefully. And even then, if we leave just one little door open or one window cracked, or if we refuse to let Jesus clean up those nasty corners of our hearts, Satan's more than happy to just barge his way back in and to not leave no matter how much we tell him to get out of here. Whether it's our private indulgence or our past resentment, or our need for control, or our proud refusal to take ownership of our mistakes. The enemy's happy to take whatever corner he can occupy in order to rob us of our peace, of our self-worth, of our capacity to trust other people, and most especially of our capacity to live in the freedom of God that God desires for each and every one of us. Jesus wants to remodel our houses, so to speak, such that we can live in peace and in security. And unlike actual thieves, our Lord's actions are never vicious and destructive. He doesn't violate us when he takes things from us, because he never takes anything out of our hearts without first asking for permission. He always asks us for them. He always invites us to let go. And even if it means that, yes, what he might be asking is to bust through some exterior walls in our house so that he can put on a nice new addition, or to tear up that old nasty carpet that kind of smells a little funny in order to put in some new flooring, Jesus always respects our free will. And the only violent part of this experience of allowing God to transform us is when we do one of these where we half grant, but then also half refuse to let him do the work that he wants to do. We know that Jesus wants to take certain things from us, but sometimes we struggle to see just how we could live without them. And hence why he can sometimes feel like or appear to be to us as a thief. So what do we do? Well, the invitation is simple: to surrender. To surrender everything in our house to the Lord. Whether it's our fears or our hopes, our desires, our struggles, our family, our futures, our country. Surrender everything to our Lord. Because when we surrender it all to him, then we'll realize that he no longer appears to be a thief, but actually a friend. A friend who can come and actually kick out the real thieves and to restore that which was broken. And so if you're wondering how practically to do this, I've personally found the book in the prayer ministry called Unbound to be super helpful for basically everybody. And so I invite you, if you're looking for a nice little retreat this year or during this Advent, a nice time to take away with the Lord, just to grow in that surrender, then sign up for the Unbound conference, which we have Friday evening, December 9th, and all day Saturday, December 10th. You can find more information about that in the bulletin and online. But at the end of the day, surrender is a choice that God leaves to us. And it's also a process. And it can be as simple as the prayer, Jesus, I surrender my unforgiveness to you. Jesus, I surrender all of my sins to you. I surrender my entire life to you. And in order to show you that I'm serious, that I really don't want these sins, that I don't want this vice in my life anymore, I hand it all over to you. I bring it to confession. I name it. I lay it all there at your feet because I don't want to carry this anymore. And realize what such prayers of surrender can do. If we give everything in our house over to the Lord, then in a certain sense, it won't even necessarily be our house alone, per se. It will be a house under his care. And at the end of time, or at least at the end of our lives, when we come to meet our Maker face to face, we will be ready. Because by inviting the Lord to be the complete master of everything in our house, we will already have begun to live in the house of the Lord.